Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Rogue Report. My name is Matt, and today we are talking yet again about Dungeons and Dragons. Now, a couple episodes ago, I was just pretty much talking about the game and people's stories, my past stories and experiences playing through the game for the past 4 or 5 years on and off. I've been playing D&D. The introduction that I got to it was actually rather spoiled. I think I had mentioned in the past that my core group that I played with, we were blessed to have somebody that was like a 20-year vet playing, since he was a kid, and having that information and his knowledge in the game help us learn the game a lot faster. The main thing that I want to talk about here is the fact that I have created a one-shot that in short time I'm actually going to be running with, my group of people that I would normally play D&D with. The one thing that I wanted to do real quick was just give you the idea, because if you've never played D&D before and you've only heard about it in passing, it's actually quite simple. The one thing that you do need for D&D is like an imagination. You have to kind of improvise and, you don't necessarily have to play the character. That's part of it. It's somewhat of an imagination, role-playing thing where it's like it's made up as you go along. Now, most stories have, do's and don'ts inside the story. I've explained it before in the other episode about how you get the module that you're running, the story that you're running, and the campaign that you start with your group. That campaigns could last, 1 week, they can last a month, they can last a year. As long it kind of depends on how long you are playing as a group. I think one of our shortest campaigns was probably like a couple of months. And I think it was the one that Nick was running, and I'd said it before, where I hit somebody at the last boss fight. I hit somebody with like this very critical nat 20 hit, that this boss fight that he had said that was probably going to take 45 minutes, and in his head ended up taking 5. Because it's just what could happen in the game. Now, obviously, when it comes to what can and can't happen in the game, it's always down to the dungeon master or the DM. It's always down to their discretion and how they want their game to be ran. I have ran a campaign before. I've ran a story before. It is a little hard to run a certain group of people. I mean, my group of people, we played it very chaotically. We would always make fun of Rob for being the chaotic group or the chaotic member of the group, but we were all pretty unhinged. I'm not going to lie, we were kind of heavy drinkers. We would like to drink while we played. We had our beers and we had our, our liquor of choice, which, whatever, tequila. But, sit down together, have a little bit of a chat and then start the game and, play for like 3 or 4 hours, and that's the end of the session. Because we haven't really been playing. We used to play every Wednesday. And we were playing for what seemed 3 years straight, but on and off, more like 4 or 5 years. But the game that we're playing coming up here soon is a one-shot. And one-shot means that this isn't a week-to-week game. This is a one-day, one-session game. So the game that I've created, now, you can find one-shots all over the internet. There's modules that Wizards of the West Coast that they've made themselves. There's a literal book that I'm pretty sure our friend Donnie has, that it's literally one gigantic D&D book, but it's just a book of just one-shots and, campaigns that you can run in one session. The concept of our game is, just to, get together once again and get the band back together or whatever, and we're going to sit there and we're going to hang out, we're going to bro down, but we're also going to play this game. Now, I had it in my head that I've always wanted to run a one-shot. The ones that we have done in the past, I remember the one thing that we did is we kind of robbed a casino type thing, I don't know if it was all the whole thing was a casino. It was more like a ball, if you will, where we infiltrated into the place where we were causing distractions while half the group was doing some actual sneaky shit, sneaking into a vault. We were stealing an egg, if I'm not mistaken. I do remember us stealing some very valuable egg or something like that, like a dragon egg. But the one-shot thing that I wanted to run is, I had a concept, and then that concept turned into something else. And the concept that I am now finished with and that I'm looking at is the fact that this is not, I don't know if you can even consider this Dungeons and Dragons anymore, because it really isn't. Because what I will be running, and what my friends will be playing is a prison break. The prison break is an idea that I've had. Obviously, like I thought about this, like this would be a cool one shot. I just didn't know how to make it work. And with like, the help of Anna, of course, her knowledge of, just her being smarter than me, I guess. And she's very, very artsy. So she made me a map of a prison that we've created, kind of loosely based off of like the prison Alcatraz. And the only reason why I say that it's loosely based off of Alcatraz is because that we've put this prison on an island. And our players are going to have a chance to escape. And if they get outside, they have 2 different exits off of the island, one being the dock and one being a helipad. They can either use the boat to get away themselves, or they can use the helipad. But the one thing that I do have here that one of my players, only one player is going to know this. One of my players is going to be a criminal mastermind. Once everybody shows up and we're going to do a bunch of these roles and stuff like that, I'm going to have at least one player, as soon as they get outside, as long as they have a certain item, they will get off the island within 5 minutes. And it's up to them whether they want to take somebody with them or not. The main goal is just to get off of the island, get out of the prison and then get off of the island. In a prison, obviously you have your prisoners, but then you have your employees of the prison, like guards and, who runs the prison, the warden. Those are my like NPCs that I would be controlling, or the guards and the warden specifically being like the OP NPC that the players don't want to run into the warden. I have it set up to where I'm going to set a timer on my phone. And I think I'm going to use a 10-minute timer just to speed up the game a little bit. And every 10 minutes, my phone's going to go off and I'm going to roll a random dice just to see where the warden is. And if the warden ends up popping up in a room where they are, he might have some questions on what they might be doing. If they're up to no good, they might have their chance to persuade. But if they do get caught by the warden, they will be sent to the hole or solitary confinement. If they get caught by a guard, they just go back to their cell. I am going to have everybody roll a D4 as 4-sided dice to, determine what cell block they belong to. So if I have 6 players, there's a good chance that one person belongs to each cell block, or, I have 2 people in A, 2 people in B, 2 people in C, nobody in D. I don't know how it's going to work out. It all comes down to the roll. But when it comes down to, running around the prison and trying to do sneaky shit so they can escape, I have stuff for that. Like if you get caught by if you fail your roll, then guards are going to, possibly show up and see if you were noticed. And if you are noticed, I have it that if you fail your roll, you're going to roll a D10 to see if you were noticed. If you were noticed, a D4 to see how many guards are present, and then it's up to them to, persuade me basically to see if I would let them just slide doing what they're doing, to see like, maybe you're not supposed to be doing what you're doing. But as a DM, you kind of have to be a little relaxed at certain points. Now, I did say something about, having certain items. I have on here that obviously there's items all over the place that they can just find. Like in a prison, they have a commissary. So in the commissary, we have available in the commissary razors, combs, socks, shoes, flip-flops, shirts, gloves, books. We have in the yard, there's NPCs. I have Rocco. Rocco is going to start a riot if provoked. Like if they were to find Rocco and poke the bear long enough, Rocco's going to start a riot. Now, the riot is a thing where I have this set up that if a riot does happen, all players are going to have a disadvantage until they're out of the lockdown radius. And the riot is usually going to it's not going to take over the whole prison. If they cause a riot out in the yard, the yard's going to be locked down, but they would have to find their way out of the yard, either back into the prison, or if they get escorted back to their cell, then that's what it is. I have it that you can end the riot by leaving the area with a security card, combat with the guards, or just by submitting to the guards and being escorted back to your cell. I have another NPC, his name is Fletch, who he knows the warden's exact location at all times. And then I have the NPC Chooch, who will rat you out. Another location, well, actually all the locations real quick. What are the locations? We have the office, the mess hall kitchen, the roof, the library, the infirmary, the laundry room, the commissary, the hole or solitary confinement, the yard, intake, and then all the cell blocks. In the mess hall and the kitchen, I will be having 2 weapons available for them to find, 2 food items that would give them like a +1 for a couple rounds or whatever, just like a little bit of a boost for them to have. Obviously, like I said, there's going to be weapons, but in the kitchen in particular, we have set up a way to get out of the prison through the kitchen, through a couple of different lock gates that would lead them down to the dock. So if they did try to move their way out of the prison through the kitchen, there is a way to do it from there. But the only other really access to leave is either through the main gate or off of the roof. But off of the roof is kind of more of a dangerous route. When it comes to the roof, if they can make it off the roof without like hurting themselves critically, then they can do it. It's just how they want to do it. That's one of the main parts of D&D, I guess, you can struggle with as a DM, is trying to justify what the players are doing and if they can do it or not. It's just, if you want to, go ahead and let them do it. It might be good for a laugh. But if you're taking your game more seriously, then you would say, well, no, physics wouldn't allow that. There's gravity. Like, you can't double backflip onto a moving car and stand up, keep your balance. It's just stupid shit like that. One of the other locations I have here is the library. I did think about this. I don't know if I'm going to do this or not. But we, like I said, animate a map. Now, I would just figure that they have been in the prison for long enough they know what the layout of the prison is. Because I thought about hiding the map in the library. And then if they go into the library and then they would find the map, then they would actually know the layout of the prison and know where doors and stuff are. Because if they don't go actually, like if they go into the mess hall and they're in the mess hall, that's just like the cafeteria area, right? If they don't go into the kitchen, they are not going to find the loading dock door. Now, I could hide that from them. That's why I kind of wanted to see if they would just go into the library immediately and find the map that way. To be determined, I guess. But I also have it that the library has access to the main office. The only place that has access to the main office through vent ducts would be the library, but I have it on here that it's going to require more than one person. You're going to need at least 2 people. And I have it on here that we have the security badge as one of the items that you can get. Security badges are access to everywhere in the prison except for the main office. To get into the main office is either through the library or through the door, but you're going to need an actual key that I guess they would have to lift off of the warden himself. But good luck with that one. And I have on here, now this is the main, do have other items, but they're actually in a notebook that I don't know where it's at. Actually, it's right behind me. Okay. The biggest item on our list, though, is a cell phone. And if they find the cell phone, it's pretty much like a cheat code. Like I said about the criminal mastermind, if the criminal mastermind somehow gets a hold of the phone and gets outside of the prison walls, calls somebody up, within 5 minutes, he's off the island. The other items that I have are chattering teeth, a shank, a bunch of toilet paper rolls, a mirror, well, actually 2 mirrors, and 2 shanks. 2 shanks. And then a security badge, a rock, a sock, a soap, bar soap, and a cellmate. We figured that if somebody rolls cellmate, then that's the extra person that they might need instead of like the NPC would be ran by that player though. Like I'm not going to run their cellmate, they are. So they would be playing basically 2 characters, but at the same time. So whatever you plan on doing, your cellmate's going to do the exact same shit. So, like, if you and your cellmate were in the library trying to climb through the vents, it would actually work. You wouldn't need one of the other players with you. And then the way the phone is going to work is that obviously inside the prison, like if you're trying to use the phone inside a prison, you might not have signal in certain areas. Obviously, if you're outside of the walls, like in the yard, you would be able to use the phone. And obviously outside of the prison walls themselves, like towards the docks and the helipad, that's when that person's going to want that phone. But anybody can use it, by the way. It's not just for that person. And the criminal mastermind, the whole thought process about that person is that they're going to know who they are. Nobody else, none of the other players are going to know who they are. Only That person knows, I know obviously, but they're going to have the opportunity to choose whether or not they want to really help the rest of the group or not, because they could literally just say, this is what the plan is, and then not go by the plan at all and just get outside with the phone and disappear. Where's the fun in that? In all honesty, like if I was playing that role, I would say, no, I think I would just help everybody. But then again, like somebody like Rob, we made fun of Rob for being the chaotic player that he is. If Rob gets the fucking criminal mastermind, he's long gone. He ain't helping nobody. Oh, the other thing, like, okay, so in D&D, in traditional Dungeons and Dragons, you have your marching order, and then you have an initiative order, but your initiative order, like your combat order, if you will, doesn't really come up until combat comes up. That's when you would roll for your initiatives. And then obviously going from highest roll to lowest roll, that's what the roll is going to be. I'm literally just keeping it as one. Like there is an order, and it's not two separate things. It's basically the same thing. And I think what I was going to do is just like whoever walks into the door first, that person's going first, and that person's going to go the second person, the third, fourth, whatever. The way that this is going to work is not traditional D&D at all. Like, because you would roll stats. Like in D&D, you have 6 stats: Constitution, Dexterity, Strength, Wisdom, Intelligence, Charisma. We don't do that here. we're not doing that here at all. What it's going to be is they're just basically rolling against me. I'm going to roll every time that they roll, and they have to beat my roll, which should happen, a good bit, but it should happen a good bit for me too. So it should go both ways. I feel like it's the most even that it could be. Now in combat, when it comes to, if they end up fighting people, whether it's guards or NPC, other prisoners or some shit, if they do end up like actually getting hurt, everybody is starting off with 50 health points. And once you go below your, 1 and you're at 0, you're not dead. You're just going to be escorted back to your cell. Unless it happens with the warden, then you will wake up in solitary confinement with half the hit points that you started with. Which, I'm sure that should work out. I don't see why that it's not going to. You could also lose hit points just by falling. Let's say like somebody's trying to do some crazy fucking jump and they roll a fucking 2. It's not a critical fail, but it's super bad, so you might have to take some HP off of somebody. But for example, I feel like this would just go in D&D like traditionally. If somebody rolls a nat 1, it's a critical fail, and normally you would start the next round or something like that with a disadvantage. I'm going to keep all that stuff in there for sure, but obviously trying to do this all on my own, because this is just me and Anna bullshit and trying to create this. I do have this though, like I had said something about advantages and disadvantages. I am giving people advantages or disadvantages kind of the way that you would actually look at them. Obviously the items that they're getting could be the advantage. Oh yeah, I said the phone, the chattering teeth, the shank, the toilet paper roll, the mirror, the security badge, the rock, the cellmate, the sock, the soap. Obviously, I don't know what the toilet paper roll is for, but I'm sure they'll find a use for it. The chattering teeth, I don't know why I put that on there, but it's going to be really funny if somebody gets that. I don't know what they're going to do with it. They'll figure it out with their own imagination, I'm guessing. But like, I'm sure the mirror would be very helpful just to see around corners. A shank is a shank, obviously. It's a weapon. A rock, you could fucking find a fucking rock outside, I'm sure. The cellmate's a very, fun, different one. And then a random sock and a bar of soap. Obviously, those can be put together and made into a weapon, though. What else? More than 2 people doing the same action may cause a disadvantage because it's suspicious. Obviously, 2 people. Hey, what are you guys doing over there? Knock it off. But here's the disadvantages. List of disadvantages. I have missing toe, hard of hearing, limited vocab, bad eyesight, allergies, bad hygiene, barefoot, diabetes, can't hold breath long. And then another one that I'm not really too happy that I thought about this one, but it is a prison, so I'm going to keep that one to myself. We also made a schedule, just so, what time of day that you plan on doing this. I had the idea that I'm going to tell them what everything is about, and when they're done rolling for their items and their disadvantages and their cell blocks and all that shit. When everything's done and set up, they're going to have like 15, 20 minutes to come up with a game plan and how they actually want to do this and what time they're doing it. Because I thought about rolling for what time they are going to do it on the schedule, but then I said, fuck that, they can figure it out themselves. We were going to have them roll like certain things of why they would be in prison, but that's when I kind of came up with the idea of just having at least one criminal mastermind in the group. I kind of just wanted to ramble on about that and how excited I am to run this because we did create this. Here's the picture right now of the prison. Anna made this, and it's disgusting on how like good she is at detail. Like when I first saw it when she completed this, I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Maybe went a little bit too far for a one shot. Like I said, when it comes down to it, this really isn't D&D. Because it does say Dungeons and Dragons in the title. There are no dungeons unless the prison's the dungeon, and there are no dragons unless the warden is the dragon. So use your imagination. That's what that looks like. And if anything, this is just like a very like up-to-date prison. I've never been to prison. Never have I been in one or around one. I've probably been around one, but I don't really know the ins and outs of a prison. But anyway, that's my one shot. We will be playing soon. And then I figured the recap of that one shot, I'm not going to recap it on the Rogue Report because Rob will be playing with me. So if anything, the recap of the one shot, I'll do that with Rob on an episode of SEP and whenever the hell that will be, because I don't even know what day it is anymore. But anyway, I do want to thank everybody for stopping by the channel here on Going with Rogue, listening to the Rogue Report. And please go ahead and check out the Safely Controlled podcast or the gameplay videos that I have. Plenty of fun, plenty of entertainment on here on the Going with Rogue channel. But once again, thank you guys so much for stopping by. Keep your ear to the ground for the next episode. And until then, we'll see you.